Good day, everyone. Welcome to another GAC replay analysis video. And for this episode would be a little different from the first one because I will be analyzing this GAC in the point of view of my opponent and what I would do if I was in my opponent's shoes. Now, before we begin, I would like to give a big shout out to this player, Cynthnar Dryden. Hello, Cynthnar. And I've actually reached out to this player and we had like a quick conversation about GAC strategy. I would like to commend this person actually for not putting his best GL on defense against players with no Galactic Legends. I think that's very noble of you, and I encourage you to keep doing it. Yet, I would like to give you an exception to your rule and still have fun while placing your GL on defense. So let's get to the video. So this is how our board looks like at the end of our GAC battle. As you can see, I've won this by 400 banners. And now let's go to our defenses. So let's first go to mine. So at the bottom, I've placed, still loading there. I've placed my Padme team, First Order, and Geo. So it got one-shotted. And the back wall, which was cleared as well. This is where my opponent struggled. So one shot card, 3 battles on my bounty hunters, 2 battles each for Newt and Commander Hux. So Hux lead, sorry. And I was experimenting with Newt, Django, and Sunfac, and it has been like consistent for me putting on hold, so that has been good. Let's go to the upper zone. And as you can see, there's Poggle lead, Asajj lead, and this was a mistake of mine where I accidentally placed another Night Sister team, but it was able to hold 4 times. So I was like lucky on this. At the same time, of course, General Grievous. I will not show my fleet because GAC is not over yet, but you can look at my GAC history as what I usually place there. Now let's go to my opponent. So what Cynthnar plays on defense was this teams. So resistance, and then I got, well, 2 battles on Poggle, Django, and Droidica variant team where my CLS keeps stunning. Yes, I use CLS first on this team, but it kept stunning and removing turn meter on Django Fett, so I got stuck on that and then lost the battle. So it was a very funny experience. And of course, I one-shot First Order. And then on the top zone here, one-shot everything. And there's a Rey, so I just use gas to counter it, and it's only gear 8. I feel like if it was a higher relic Rey, I would have lost this, but it is what it is. And at the back was the fleet, so normally I one-shot the fleet, so pretty standard. So now let's move on to the next segment where I will now analyze what could have Cynthnar done differently, at the same time like not feel bad on putting a GL, well, one of his or her strongest Galactic Legends on defense. So if we replay this battle again, what could Cynthnar do, guys? So what can this player do? Now, if I will place myself on Cynthnar's shoes, this is my thought process on how I can place my Galactic Legends on defense and not feel bad about it. So first, I would go and look at Arc 3's roster and see what this person has. So I just click on his profile, click inventory, and everything I can see. Now I can see General Skywalker, Darth Revan, Palpatine, and Kylo Ren Unmasked Relic 7. So that alone tells me that this person is going for SLKR soon. He also has Padme, a JKR Relic, C3PO, CLS, and Malak. So a lot of legendaries, and also like Darth Vader. So a lot of like heavy tunes focused roster. And this is one of the exceptions I would like to share. Now, if you have only 2 Galactic Legends, or let's say a Galactic Legend roster, and your roster isn't as stacked, but your opponent has like something like this, then you are allowed to place your best Galactic Legend on defense while placing your second like Galactic Legend on offense. So it's alright to do that simply because this guy or this person knows what he is doing and most likely can challenge your Galactic Legend rosters. Now that we know what Arc 3 has, what would be our defensive setup look like when we are like placing our defense and preparing everything? So first and foremost, we need to prioritize like the bottom zone, because this is where our opponent will get the most points offensively. I'm now showing the points per zone. So at the top zone, it will be like 448 points, bottom zone 366, sorry. At the back 448, and the fleets 314. So you have two options here. You can prioritize the bottom zone, or you can prioritize the first two rows in front. But ideally, you want to clear, like, offensively, you want to clear the first two zones. But in scenarios where your GAC matches could get close, I suggest protecting the bottom two zones and force your opponent to go top. So that's what we will do. Since we're trying to protect our bottom zone, what I would do now is place my SLKR on the first top bottom zone. Now what does this do to me? Like, it effectively, like, safely protects the back zone immediately. Since my opponent has no counter to SLKR, my entire bottom zone is protected. So in terms of placing defense, my back zone, I can place all of my level 1s there and not be afraid of Arc 3 pushing through my SLKR, because he has nothing against it, and most likely he would go top instead. And that is what we want. Now on the top zone, I would be placing the usual Geos, maybe first order bounty hunters, the usual defensive setup that I would place at the back and place them in front, simply because we have now more teams on offense. And yeah, that is how we prioritize defense. Now, in the future, let's say your opponent has a JKL instead of a gas team, then I would prioritize placing Rey on defense, and that's because JKL does not counter Rey. So that effectively, like, protects your back zone. Now, offensively, you want to prioritize the bottom zone as well. But if your opponent, let's say, well, in this case, if let's say Arc 3 plays a very heavy defense on bottom, then you have no choice but to go top as well. Like, mirror your opponent's move, and at the same time, think about your options. Like, can you counter, let's say, at the bottom, a Padme or a Gas or a DR or whatever this person plays on the bottom zone? Because most likely this person also checked your roster and would be able to see, oh, this guy does not have counters to this team, so I'm gonna place this on defense on the top, because this guy is smart and will protect also the bottom zone. So if that scenario, it's a matter of efficiency now. So prioritize again your offense, but keeping in mind your defense. So this is how you, like, mix and match your offensive teams and defensive teams. I'm going to give a roster review to Cynthnar Dryden to help you out improve your teams and cover your bases in GAC. So let's get into your inventory. So I can see that you're already 4.4 million galactic power and you're very close to Division 5, which means that for the next season, which will be 5v5, you'll be needing an extra team for defense and offense. So let's prepare for that. So first things first, I can see a Relic 7 CLS and a Relic 6 Han Solo. So that's already telling me as a person that you're going for JML next as your third Galactic Legend. So I would like to let you know to hold it off for now and focus on Jedi Knight Luke instead, simply because having him in your roster would give you a team to counter SLKR, and that would be handy if you're going up against rosters with SLKR or like rosters similar with you with two Galactic Legends. So that's for tip number 1. Tip number 2, no-brainer, you have to relic up your Rey. Having a relic Rey would be beneficial in your roster, especially for defensive purposes, and that would, like, save up teams. Let's say having a relic Rey in your team already would give you defensive holds in the future and saving you from, like, potential losses or avoiding potential losses. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is to relic up your Galactic Republic team. I can already see you already have Padme at gear 11. So relinking up your Galrep team won't hurt your roster actually, because you'll be needing JKA for C, Kenobi for, well, JMK, Padme for Lord Vader, C3PO of course needed for JML, and yeah, that would be beneficial for you. And this team can be used for phase 1 of the Crankor raid, and that would also give you an option to save Rey in P3 or P4 in Crankor, but it's still up to you if you still want to use your Rey team in the future in P1. So whatever your guild needs. And lastly, you can opt to go for other legendaries. You have the journey guide already to like help you with that. So having a Darth Revan Malak in your team would be nice. Having Gas as well would be nice. Preferably you would go for Gas, but let me check your Old Republic team. I think you're closer to Darth Revan. Yeah, you're closer to Darth Revan, so might as well go for him. So you'll be needing Karth, Juhani, Kandaros, Bastillation. I saw it was gear 11, HK. So yeah, you're closer to Darth Revan, so I suggest go for him and go for Malak. There's no harm in getting this like 2 legendary toons, because you'll be boosting your roster and that would give you like an offensive option as well. And last but not least, you can gear up your Sith trio. I can see a gear 9 Darth Traya and gear 8. Gear 8 or 9 Traya, and your Scion is gear 9 as well. So of course, gearing them up a bit would be helpful in countering Geos, Mon Mothma teams, and like underdog them a bit so that you can have more toons for offensive purposes. And if not, you can have like a defensive flex as well when needed, depending on your opponent's roster. So that's the roster review for you, Cynthnar. I hope you learned something from that, and good luck in your future GAC battles. For those who want to learn how to counter SLKR rosters without like facing them head on, I am putting a video somewhere here now in your screen. And I hope to see you in the next one, guys. Have a great day, and may the force be with you.